During our time in Hawaii, we were warned. Kids can't handle the sunrise hike up Diamond Head. They won't understand the significance of Pearl Harbor. And if you're looking for safe gluten-free foods, you shouldn't leave Disney property at Aulani. Well, we didn't listen to them. And they weren't totally wrong, but neither were we. Here's how.
What time is it?
5 a.m. Day 2 of our vacation.
Lobby.
That is the way to do it, though.
We are on H1 from Aulani over to Diamond Head. We have our Starbucks drinks in hand. These are cold drinks in new cups. So don't get confused when they hand you what looks like a hot drink cup. It's a cold drink cup. So enjoy. If you have more than one person in the car, hang out on the left-hand side. That way you can get in the express lane, which moves very, 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 very fast. We have already shaved off about 2 or 3 minutes off our arrival time. So stick to the left. Always go left. Okay, we made it. We're at Diamond Head. We're in line to park. I will say the last mile or so of the drive gets a little bit confusing because you kind of head off of H1 and you sort of take some more back roads to get where you're going. So when you're searching in Google, we found it best to search for Diamond Head State Monument. And then you end up joining a caravan of people and it's pretty straightforward. If you come for the sunrise hike, which is the 6 a.m. entry time, bring a flashlight or some kind of light that's going to help you see, because you might not see otherwise. We had some very nice people who handed us flashlights.
Yeah, it's tricky steps. You don't have a flashlight. And here we start zigzagging up and around. Watch your step.
Hours ago.
Things are a little wet and slick now. So you just have to be careful. That the sky is starting to look brighter. Beware of the mud, she said. Go ahead. Asher stepped right in it. Oh yeah, big cracks. Whoa.
Oh yeah, this is fun. Yeah.
You can see the line of flashlights heading up the hill. We're getting there.
So that might be
A little ways to go still.
Look at the moon. It's still.
It's like I'm not ready to go indoors. Step.
Sunrise, everyone kind of picks a spot and parks themselves. She doesn't like the heights.
The moon is disappearing. Oh, it's like a bright one.
You think you're seeing the sunrise as you're headed up when the sun starts to break over the clouds, and it certainly lightens the path for the last third of it or so, but nothing compares to when you're at the very top. If you time it out perfectly, when that sun comes up over the mountains, it's incredible.
Did you do it, Accent? You rode along. There were a lot of notes. We had a friend who told us not to do this with kids this small, that it was not the right age group. And I think for us, it was 100% the right thing to do for a few different reasons that made it work. One, we brought a carrier for our 4.5-year-old because he would not have been able to do that. I watched some videos that really just showed the first part where it's really paved, and he would have been able to do that part. But up high, there was no way he could have managed. It would have taken us hours and hours and hours. I did see someone even had pushed a stroller up, and once the pavement turned to some of the bumpier parts, they abandoned their stroller. So be forewarned, it is not a stroller-friendly path. But Nora found the hike a little overwhelming. She did a great job in terms of she was strong enough to do it.
Nora, tell me about the hike part of it. Was it good for a 7-year-old?
Yes, but the heights I hated.
Yeah, when she got up high, she was a little daunted by just how high we were. That was a little overwhelming, but the hike part itself was pretty manageable.
So if you have a fear of heights, it is a big lookout, but it's not right on the edge of a cliff. It's not like you really think you're gonna fall, but she still got overwhelmed. And Asher said it was the best, and he wants to do it every morning for the rest of our trip. Now, if you're trying to decide if going this early in the morning is the right choice for you, I think that's an interesting question. For us, going in the dark at first was kind of novel and kind of fun, and made it kind of broke it up so it was two different experiences, going up and going down. And by virtue of going so early, it was nice and cool on the way up. It was actually a tiny bit chilly as we got out of our car. And by the time we got to the top, that cave you walk through at the very top was humid and stuffy. And I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be hot later in the day. I'm glad we did it early. The walk down was nice. The breeze up top was lovely. And now it's starting to get a little warm and sweaty. It's very sweaty if you're carrying a 4-year-old on your back. I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
So I hadn't clocked that there is an audio tour that you can do on the way up. I don't know the background on how to actually get that. I would say that at least on the way up, I would not have been able to focus on whatever they were saying on the audio tour, or I wouldn't have been able to stop and listen to it and get up there with the speed that I would have needed. So I'm a big audio tour guy, so normally I would really enjoy something like that, but I don't know, at least on this first time through, that I would have been able to prioritize that. I feel like I have done a handful of quintessential sunrise experiences. So this, Haleakala, and seeing the sunrise from the Israel side of the Dead Sea when we went glamping there. This was an incredible sunrise experience. I would totally do this again. It'd be really cool once the kids were a little bit older. But I would have to say my vote for best sunrise is still that sunrise over the Dead Sea.
There are restrooms at the Welcome Center, which everyone uses at the start and end of the hike. But now that we know what all the kids thought, what did the grown-ups think? That was a serious hike. I thought 1 hour paved, it's going to be like walking around a mall, but it is not. My calves are going to feel that tomorrow because there's a lot of elevation that you go up, and a lot of steps even at the end, stairs. It was a gorgeous view. I'm so glad we did it. I really tried to soak it in, and I hope this video captures a little bit of that. By the time we were done at Diamond Head, we were hungry. But our family is gluten and dairy free. And as many dietary restriction families know, one of the safest places for us to eat was back at our Disney resort, Aulani. But we wanted to explore some local flavors. We found the perfect spot on the beach in Waikiki to grab breakfast with allergen details listed on the menu and interesting vegan items. This is Barefoot Beach Cafe. It was clear this is a popular spot, but it was worth the short wait in line to try some Hawaiian favorites.
We are at Barefoot Beach Cafe, which is just a 15-minute drive on the way down from Diamond Head. So if you're doing the Diamond Head early morning hike like we did, then I encourage you to come and stop here for breakfast on the way back down. We got 3 of the vegan Loco Mocos. We were a little concerned walking in because there was a sign with like a whole bunch of things that they were sold out of, including the vegan Loco Moco. The thing that made it sold out though was that they didn't have the tofu scramble, the like scrambled tofu faux egg, which is not what we wanted anyway. So we got the vegan Loco Moco, but instead of getting the tofu scramble, we got regular eggs, sunny side up, eggs which are cooked in oil, not butter, and they were really awesome. It's a little heavy on the rice, so honestly, we split 3 for 5 people. We probably could have gone down to 2 for 5 people. Smoothies are a cool gimmick in their fresh pineapple, which the kids were a little slow on the uptake of, but Nora's been knocking out as her dessert, basically. So that is really cool. The French fries were super tasty. They're marking this gluten-free. They were very aware of all the ingredients as we were going through. One big hint that I will offer up for all of you is that there is music here on a nightly basis. And so if you want to come at night, sitting out here right on Waikiki Beach with musicians playing sounds awesome. And on Sunday, brunch also has musicians. So keep an eye on that if that times out well for you. But coming down from Diamond Head over to here was like the perfect breakfast plan.
I'm happy to have a vegan gravy, but there's no subbing for real eggs to do that.
The rice is amazing.
Ash, what do you think? Nice.
No!
Oh.
It's okay, there's more.
It's okay.
I think the patty is
I feel like I looked into this.
rice and sunflower seeds. Maybe lentils? Onions in the gravy for sure. But there's lots of sunflower seeds giving it a real crunch. I'll warn you right now, those gutsy birds will try to steal your food while you eat. They are very aggressive. I only ate about a third of the vegan Loco Moco, and it was so good, but I was just so full. Like, I couldn't eat any more rice. So much rice. But then here I am eating spoonful after spoonful of the acai bowl because it's so refreshing and lovely, and there's birds flying around. Wow! What is happening? Stop! Get off our table!
Barefoot Beach Cafe, what's your vote? Vote yes.
Yes, like 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid.
I think it was the gravy on the vegan Loco Moco. It has a real curry-esque flavor. It's like a root veggie curry, you say? So a roasted,
but I'm sure there's
roasted
curry
veggie curry.
Yeah.
So that's what comes through on there, the flavor profile. I've never had regular Loco Moco, so I don't know what the flavor profile is.
So on the regular one, they call it a veal gravy. So I'm sure it's a much more. It's like a meatier gravy. That was not. It didn't. Yeah. I didn't get meat on this.
Yeah. Sometimes going for the plant-based options, I sometimes wonder what the real thing tastes like. Last night with the mushrooms, I was like, oh, I think this is pretty good and close to pork belly.
Probably tastes better or right along the lines of the pork belly.
The soy glazed pork belly. So this is one of those instances where you go, I wonder what the other option would be.
By the way, since these are probably different videos, if you're curious what on earth Laura is talking about, you should watch our Aulani food video.
The food we eat on the resort.
Bye.
Then we picked up some gluten-free, dairy-free cupcakes we'd pre-ordered.
I had found this place early on. When I do a search for gluten-free, dairy-free, this is like the first place that pops up is this bakery. But it's worth saying that it seems like they used to have a storefront and then they closed and then they were like, well, you can order ahead. And I was like, well, that seems like a lot of work. I don't know that I'm going to exactly do that. And then this was a very last minute addition just a couple days ago. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We're going to be right over there when we go to Diamond Head and when we go to the Barefoot Beach Cafe. I was like, okay, let's give it a try. We'll order ahead. We also were like, well, you can order ahead cupcakes, but there's no way we can order like 5 different, completely different combinations of flavors. And it worked out. Now you might say $5 per cupcake seems costly, and they're not the biggest cupcakes in the world, but they are incredibly well, hi Ash, but they are incredibly well decorated, and that in and of itself is worth it.
As we returned to the resort with our cupcakes, I noticed a souvenir at the shops I just had to have, and disaster struck. I got the hoodie. When you see your size, you gotta get it. I was so excited that they had this sweatshirt in my size. I sat down the cupcakes to try it on and then forgot to pick the cupcakes back up again. So I was all the way up in my room and went, where are the cupcakes? And I had to go back downstairs. But the shop had spotted them and set them behind the register for me, and we had a nice discussion about where to get gluten-free baked goods. Whoa.
No.
Wow.
No.
This looks
This
amazing.
thing's not working.
What do you think, Nora?
Amazing.
Those cupcakes were so good. The consistency of the cake, I would say, is kind of like a pound cake. It was nice and moist, but not like super light and fluffy. It had a nice chew to it. I love a good pound cake. There's something really hearty and comforting about it. I couldn't tell you what the icing is made of. Do you think it's soy? There's no soy. Hey! Good. My favorite. We had stored it in the fridge, so we didn't really give it a chance to come to room temperature. You probably should do that. It might be even better. So if you have something to celebrate while you're here and you're looking for a gluten-free or dairy-free option, definitely check them out. Our one last Honolulu treat was a stop for dairy-free soft serve at Niu, where they have gluten-free malt, macadamia nuts, mochi, coconut ube soft serve, kulolo sundaes, and so many other flavors of Hawaii with great allergen awareness. I still dream about this ice cream. What's the best part of your ice cream?
Everything.
What's your favorite part?
The whipped cream and the mochi.
What are you doing?
I will rock the mochi. I love mochi.
Do you know how to say yummy in Hawaiian?
No.
How do you say it?
Oh no.
Ono. Very good. Is this ono? So ono.
Good morning. It is morning number 3 in a row that we are headed off-site early in the morning, hitting the road. Today we're heading to Pearl Harbor, where we have a noontime reservation. Be aware there is a $7 parking fee that you can pay online. After you park, there's a QR code you can scan to actually make the payment.
Also be aware absolutely no bags are allowed, but there are lots of signs about not leaving valuables in your car because thefts are common. They do have a bag check if needed.
Upon arrival, there's just a lot of different places to go. So we pre-reserved our tickets, so I looked back and I found that I do have QR codes with the tickets, in fact, on my phone. So that is where we don't need to actually purchase or pick up any kind of tickets. When you first approach, if you head to the left, that is where the Memorial Theater is going to be for the 23-minute video. If you head to the right, that's where some other exhibits are. So head to the left, that's where the movie is. That's where the check-in is to take the ferry over to the Arizona.
The day was December 7th, 1941. The day of Japan's surprise attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet here at Pearl Harbor. The day of our entry into World War II.
Your thoughts on the movie?
It was good.
What's it say?
I advocate and was the last risk in that land. Greatest hopes for world of peace in the future.
When you head into the line to get on the ferry about 10 minutes beforehand, they actually send you into a theater that looks a lot like the theater where the video is. So don't be confused and think you're going to watch the movie again. You're not going to watch the movie again.
The USS Arizona sank during the attack on Pearl Harbor, and with her, over 900 sailors and Marines who were on board. The battleship remains under the waters of the harbor, which you can see in places from the memorial, which was built over the wreckage to honor the lives lost there. Oil on the water. And so that's where the treaty was signed with Japan? Wow. Everyone boards the ferry together to return back to land. It was a solemn day, but so significant, and I'm grateful I got to share it with my children.
We have just left the Pearl Harbor historic site. We were there for 2.5 hours. We had a 12 o'clock reservation for the ferry over to the USS Arizona, but we got there about 10:30, and so we were able to catch the 10:45 film, which is about 23 minutes. The film takes place on the 15s and the 45s. So we did the film, followed by the 2 free exhibits over on the National Park side, which is different than the various paid Pearl Harbor historic sites, which includes there's a submarine museum. There's a handful of other things over there, but we did not do any of that. It felt like the 2.5 hours between the film, the 2 exhibits, the ferry over to the Arizona Memorial, the memorial itself, and then back over was like the perfect amount of time for our family. So I think the real question is, we have kids at ages 4, 7, and 10. What are the right ages for it? That was a real question we had going into this experience. What would be the right ages? And I would say, coming out of it, I'd say it was a little much for our 4-year-old, both in terms of like content itself and also just feeling like some of it is just graphic information. But
It was not overly graphic. I don't want to scare anybody.
No, but there are a few.
There are 1 or 2 images, grainy black and white images, and you can tell that there are folks that had been injured or worse in battle.
And I would say that it was great for our 10-year-old, and I would say it was really great for our 7-year-old, who really seemed to take in a lot of the information and asked a lot of questions along the way, particularly in the exhibits. So I felt like she got a lot out of that.
But I want to point out that we did prepare for this. We watched some YouTube videos about what was World War II, what was the significance of Pearl Harbor, how and why did America get involved in World War II. And so they understood that this was an important and solemn place going into it.
Yeah, and a lot of what was in the video we watched today was a repeat of some of the information that we had seen on YouTube videos that we
Right.
had done, which the YouTube videos were aimed for somewhat slightly younger audiences, so kind of like it prepared them on their terms. And so when they actually saw the 23-minute video on site here, which is really intended for adults, frankly, they were a little more grounded in the information. But all in all, this was a successful endeavor. 2.5 hours, and now we're headed back to Aulani.
I can't believe this is the end of our incredible Hawaii series. This was honestly one of my favorite destinations ever, and you should go back and watch the whole series because you need to go to Oahu. Meanwhile, we're on to our next destination, and we'll see you there, travelers. Mahalo for everything.